Let's get it.
I just float with it. Fuck what you did, I'm at your throat with it. You can learn something, take a note with it. Dedicated my life, I took an oath with it. For the blood of my brothers, we don't do no switching. I run with who I run with, ain't no clicking. Try me, do you done with no decision. Lead a scene like a Mack truck with 4 collisions. Poles everywhere, but they ain't gon' vote dissing. Coming at you live and direct, I don't do no dissing.
All right, Shalom Israel, Lord in Christ. Yahweh Shem Yahshua Barakatam to all the brothers. Yahweh Shema Alatam Shem Yahshua to all the sisters. All right, welcome. This is Real Time Revelations, the show I do every Monday and Thursday from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. The show where I bring out, relevant recent stories that's going on in the UK, that's going on across the world. And I give you a revelation. I give you the breakdown, the biblical perspective from the ISUPK and the Commanding General GEN.YAHANNA. I give you this breakdown in real time. All right. All right, and what is the solution? The thing that your Christian pastor will not provide, the thing that your imam in that Muslim mosque will never provide to blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians is the solution. All right, we as black people, we know, we have an idea of what the problem is because there's so many problems going on. There's so many problems, narcotic being sold, our sisters, being promiscuous, brothers just, dealing with sisters harshly. There's so many issues. The list is endless. But what blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians don't have in mass is a solution. I know the solution, we've been bringing out these solutions in the ISUPK since 1969, and we will continue to bring it out until, our people are healed from the trauma that has been done to us, until we are healed from all, the customs and the wicked ways we have learned from our oppressor. Until we heal our mind from Christianity. Many of our people are in Christianity because we think Christianity is a solution. We've been Christians for, we've been Christians since it was whipped into us during slavery. We've been Christian for so long, the problem has never subsided. The problem is, there ain't enough black Christians. That ain't the problem. There's more than enough black Christians. The problem is we don't have the law, statutes, and commandments of the true God of the Bible. The problem is we don't know who we are as a people. We don't know why we're going through what we're going through, and we don't know how to fix what we're going through. We just know kumbaya and God loves everybody. That's all we know in that Christian church, which according to the Bible is false. It ain't, God does not love everybody. I'm gonna just break it to you. I'm gonna break it to you right now. God does not love everybody. There's a specific people he loves, and because he loves those people, he's punishing them because he wants them to keep his laws. He wants this people, blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians, to be a special people unto himself. And if he has to chastise this people like a father chastises a son, he will do so. But what we need to be back in favor with our father is to keep his rules, is to keep the rules of his household. His household is the nation of blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians. All right. Now, what we're getting into tonight's topic, the topic this evening is the hunger crisis. The UK has been going through a hunger crisis for, how many years? Ever since COVID and everything going on with the wars, the UK has been in an absolute hunger crisis. People cannot afford to eat. All right. Now, I don't know about you. Now, it's a hunger crisis now in kind of recent years because, it's starting to affect the oppressor. That's when things become a crisis. The same way, the drug epidemic only became a drug epidemic, when oppressors started suffering from being addicted to drugs. Prior to that, it was just, drug crime, drug dealers. You gotta lock up, the Negroes that is selling these narcotics and deals with these narcotics. Meanwhile, the person who actually creates these narcotics and deals them in mass does not get arrested the same way we get arrested. But I digress. It only becomes a crisis once his people start getting affected by it. Black people from the Caribbean, the West Indies, we have been hungry. We've been facing a poverty and a hunger crisis in Britain since we set foot in Britain. We've been having a hunger crisis since we were in the West Indies. We have been hungry and starving and suffering in poverty because we have nothing. Our oppressor enslaved us, got rich off us, and gave us nothing. All right, so black people, we've been suffering from a hunger crisis, for over 400 years. They ain't feed us too much on them slave ships either. All right. Now what I'm gonna get real quick is a video. I'm gonna get a quick video on the topic, what Britain wants to cover about this hunger crisis. All right, we're gonna cover it real fast. Let me get this video up. Give me 1 second. Because I gotta share the video tab. All right, there we go. Then get the video up. This one right here.
I have.
Okay. I'm gonna wait till I share it on the screen. All right, there we go. Okay. Let me just cut this. There we go. Now it should be. Yeah, that's what I wanted. Okay.
Never seen anything like what families are going through now. I don't know how they're going to cope. I don't know how they're going to react when there's no food in the fridge. I don't know what they're going to do when their children doesn't have breakfast going to school.
Off rip. First 15 seconds of this video is just crazy to show, the oppressor's mindset. I'm gonna run it back and I'm gonna break down. I'm gonna break down this whole thing. All right. He says, let me see.
I have never seen anything like what families are going through now.
Says he has never seen anything like what families are going through now. You've never seen anything like this. You've never seen anything like people going hungry. You haven't seen people struggling to feed their children, struggling to eat. You haven't seen people, even though we're working hard, we could barely afford to pay the bills. You haven't seen this at all. And that's the problem with this oppressor. He does not see our struggle. He does not see it at all. When Black people die be unalive from starvation, he doesn't see it. When we being unalived and being, strung out on narcotics, he doesn't see it until it hits him. When we starve and we hungry, we can't afford to feed our own children. He doesn't see it until it affects him. The same way there was a recent story about, some East Indian who attacked the police, and then the policeman attacked him back. There was a video circulating, just the last part, where the police, kicked him in the head, and it was seen as this, it's such an abuse of power. Meanwhile, he attacked the police and attacked the police woman first. But really, what happened to him was justified. But now their lawyer went on the news and said, something like this has just never been seen before. Such police brutality. Police brutality like that has never been seen before. Never. You telling me when the police unalived all these brothers, I believe it was Trayvon Martin, unalived by the police, who shoved his fist down his throat. George Floyd. You're telling me, with the knee on the neck, you're telling me such police brutality has never been seen before? These nations do not see our struggle. They don't see us. They don't see us as people. But now people are suffering. These white people, they suffering. Now people are suffering. We got to do something about this hunger crisis. There's a hunger crisis across the UK. Listen, man, there's been a hunger crisis with Blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians, since forever. Since we were brought to the Caribbean, we've been in a hunger crisis because the oppressor would give us scraps to eat. We had nothing but scraps. And they want to complain about a hunger crisis. Good night. I'm going to play on. No sweat.
I don't know how they're going to cope. I don't know how they're going to react when there's no food in the fridge.
I don't know how they're going to cope or how they're going to react when there's no food in the fridge. Listen, I grew up with no food in the fridge. I coped just fine. Maybe you need to grow a pair. Maybe you need to have some resilience, like Blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians have had to have resilience, since forever. Generation after generation, we had to have resilience in order to survive. You know how much resilience it took to survive slavery? That required resilience. You know how much resilience, it required to be brought over here in the Windrush generation and be nothing but oppressed and abused and, treated wrongfully and extorted. You know how much resilience it took to survive that? Maybe our oppressor just needs to pick himself up by the bootstraps. talking about he don't know how he's gonna cope. There's no food in the fridge. I grew up with no food in the damn fridge. Let's go.
Don't know what they're going to do when their children doesn't have breakfast going to school.
Don't know what he's gonna do when his children don't have breakfast when they go to school. Our children, you know, many of our children did not have breakfast when we went to school. That's why, you know, a lot of it as well is by design. They kept us poor so that we go into school hungry. And when you go into school hungry, you focused on your damn stomach. You ain't worried about a damn thing that teacher is trying to tell you. But, you know, now it's their children that are hungry. Their children are losing focus in schools because their belly is rumbling. Now they're seeing it. You know, now they're concerned about the children. No sweat. I'm going to play on. And we're going to get into the schooling later on. I have a video on the schooling. You know what I'm saying? Also, shout out to the video myself and it's like opposite to Zappa one and I did in Manchester. If y'all ain't seen that video, make sure y'all check it out. It's on the ISUPK United Kingdom YouTube and Facebook, where we attended the a Black child agenda conversation where we talked about, you know, the Black children in schools and how, you know, the problems we're facing, and I provided the solution. All right, make sure y'all watch that video if you haven't seen it already. But, you know, we're gonna get into the schooling later on. I'm gonna play on in this video.
We can very, very much say that the cost of living crisis has hit different parts of the country very, very unequally. Inflation has predominantly affected things which people with lower income spend more on, so that is things like energy and food.
The increased price of
Affected things which people with lower income spend unequally. We can very, very much say that the cost of living crisis has hit different parts of the country very, very unequally. Inflation has predominantly affected things which people with lower income spend more on, so that is things like energy and food.
The increased price of basic products have made life very difficult for the lower income bracket, or the lowest 20 to 40% of earners nationwide.
So, you know, the increased prices of things, even just, you know, small things like energy, you know, your gas bill, your electric bill, which Black people have been struggling to pay since forever. You know, you get that envelope through your damn door, and you don't even want to open that thing because it's telling you your bill is due. You're in arrears for the gas. You're in arrears for the electric. You need to pay your bill or we're going to shut off the lights. You know, I don't even want to count how many times the lights have been shut off. I'm sure every Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian person can relate to, you know, your parent working, you know, extremely hard, but still not having enough money to scrape together to pay all the bills. There's always something you got to sacrifice. You know, we might have electricity, but, you know, we might need to wrap up a little bit more in them blankets because we can't afford the heating bill. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, now it's affecting them, and, you know, they can't have their luxuries. You know, for them, this is basic human standards. For us, we haven't had this for so long, and we've just been living like this. This is like we looking like, yeah, what's the crisis? Because we don't feel like we in a crisis because we so resilient as a nation. We so resilient as a people, and so, you know, we just get along with it. You know, we don't really complain much as a nation. You know, they think Black people complain. Listen, our oppressor can't go through any inconvenience without unaliving himself. Forget complaining. Our oppressor can't go through any hardship. We've been through the most as Blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians, and we haven't really complained, you know, to how much they would say. You know, we just complain, and we just need to pick ourselves up by our bootstraps. Tell this oppressor that's talking, pick yourself up by your damn bootstraps, man. You know, go, you know, maybe you're just lazy. Go find a job, man. You know? Yo, do something. That's what they tell us. Go find a job. You're just lazy. You're this, you're that. Black people are no good. You know what I'm saying? This, that, and the third. They struggling too, and it's a crisis. I'll play on.
This is Nick DeStackpole. He is a single dad of 3 and lives in housing provided by the borough of Chelsea and Kensington. He relies entirely on universal credit for his income, which is paid out monthly and provided by the government for individuals who are out of work or living on a low income.
So he relies on universal credit for his entire income. His entire income is universal credit, and they say we lazy and we have no jobs. Listen, black people are the most hardworking people on this earth. These are the people that is claiming, all these benefits and this, that, and the third. You have these oppressors, they claiming, you have all these East Indians you bringing over, these Afghans, these Ukrainians, they the ones claiming black people have worked hard. Black people built this country. Black people built this country, and we don't even really claim benefits like that because us, as black people, we have a level of pride about us. We don't want to be seen as begging for handouts. These other nations, they don't have that issue. They don't have that issue. They benefit off a system that we built, off an empire that was built off the backs of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. They benefit. But we, sometimes we proud, so we don't want to, especially we don't want to go to our oppressor to help us because we know damn well he ain't gonna do nothing to help us. Anything he gives us is just, is just, he just looks at it, he's just so superior, and he's just helping these lowly black people. Listen, we are entitled to every benefit the UK or every welfare America, all these places where we are entitled to all of it because we built it. They should give blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians the most aid, the most welfare, the most benefits over all these nations because we built this damn country. And play on.
I'm looking for part-time work. Because I take my two youngest into primary school, the earliest I could start if I have a job in that area is 9:30, and then I have to finish at 2:30 to collect them at 3:10. So that is the problem. In fact, I haven't come across any jobs yet that are just those tight hours. I don't have any family, so I have no one to help me. And the temporary work I'm applying for is mostly close to minimum wage, which is less than most of the childcare in this borough.
For around a fifth of parents.
So he's talking about, he looking for part-time work because he has these children, he got to drop them off at school, pick them up from school. You got to find a job that, suits his needs. Meanwhile, black women who've been, single mothers for, however many years, not saying it's right to be a single mother, but listen, somehow our sisters figure it out. Somehow our sisters figure out how to get their child to school, how to, pick them up from school, how to make sure, they eat something, how to make sure they, they have some sort of warmth and electricity. We have what we need. Our sisters have been figuring it out. So I don't know, I don't know what the problem is. I don't know what the problem is. He's just lazy, man. That's what it is. I figured it out. He's lazy and he needs to pick himself up by his bootstraps because our sisters have been figuring this out, for however long. And we just get it done. We ain't moaning and whining about, this, that, and the third, and minimum wage. Listen, our brothers and sisters got 2-3 jobs, because they pay minimum wage and we make ends meet. We've been living, our oppressor, it's a crisis when he living paycheck to paycheck. He just making enough to survive. We've been just making enough to survive since we set foot in Britain. But we make it work. You don't hear us complaining like this oppressor's complaining and whining and, he just appealing to your emotions, He want to make you feel so bad. Meanwhile, whenever we say anything about it, we just called lazy, we're just worthless, we nothing, we're just nothing but hooligans and, gangsters and this, that, and the third. We nothing but this. Okay. Now you feel a little bit of the pain that blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians have been through, for generation after generation. For them, this is just, this is just what they're going through now. We've been going through this. I'm gonna play on.
In the UK, childcare costs account for more than half of their household income. The UK is now one of the most expensive countries for childcare in the OECD. So, for those without a decent income, there is no chance to pay for childcare to be able to go and work.
So, the universal credit Because I have 3 children, I get tops up, so it's just over 1,000 a month, which sounds quite a lot, but it soon goes because I have the gas and electricity. The gas, particularly when it's cold, is costing a lot. Now, what I do is I turn the gas on and off.
In December, with gas and electricity prices,
He's talking about, the gas is so high, and when it's cold, I don't know if I can cuss on it, no shit. Yeah, when it's cold, you gotta put more gas on. And he's talking about, he has to turn the gas off and on, and that's just, it's just so hard. We've been doing that listen, I'm gonna be repeating myself this whole damn episode. We've been suffering like this since forever. He just finding out that gas is more expensive when it's cold. And sometimes you might have to suffer and be in the cold. You might have to buy some blankets because you can't afford to keep your house warm. The house is freezing. We've been experiencing this. But now it's a crisis. I'm gonna run it back. You're talking about, good night.
I have the gas and
Shalom to Officer Baraki Allah. Shalom, Yahbashim Shabrakatah.
Electricity. The gas, particularly when it's cold, is costing a lot. Now, what I do is I turn the gas on and off.
in December, with gas and electricity prices through the roof, over 7 million were going without basics like food and heat, and 4.7 million were behind on their bills.
Food is crazily expensive. For instance, the other day, we hadn't had ketchup for about a month. But the children said, come on, let's have ketchup again. It's nice with the chips. The cheapest ketchup I could get was $4.50.
Good night. Good night. He just finding out food is expensive and it's hard to eat. He talk about ketchup, his daughter said, I want some ketchup. The chips taste good with ketchup. He went and bought some ketchup. It was £4.50. He just finding out food is expensive. You just finding out there's a cost of living crisis. Black people are very well aware that food is expensive. And I don't know what ketchup he finding that's £4.50. I can guarantee I can find cheaper ketchup than that. Because we know about the struggle. We know about budgeting. He's spending £4.50 on ketchup. I don't buy that for a second. Talking about that's the cheapest ketchup he could find. He talking like, he don't know nothing about struggle for real. He buying ketchup for £4.50. Y'all let me know. Y'all let me know if I'm tripping. I ain't never, I see there's ketchup for $4.50. Then I see the store brand, the cheap, the one that don't have the fancy label. It ain't Heinz. Salakia, I don't need Heinz. I just need ketchup. I buy the baked beans. It ain't Heinz beans. I just buy. It's a tin that says baked beans. But he talking about, we struggling to eat. The ketchup is £4.50. Good night. Also, shalom to Nakas, shalom to Shanraya, shalom. I see y'all. All right, I'm gonna jump this video because I'm sick of hearing this oppressor whining and complaining. I'm gonna get scripture for y'all. I'm gonna get scripture because listen, I'm sick of hearing this. This oppressor needs to pick himself up by the bootstraps. He needs to get a damn grip. All right, let me make this. There we go. This is what Jeremiah 15 and verse 5. It's like, let me bring it down a touch. All right, here's 12. It says, for who shall have pity on thee, O Jerusalem? We've been going through these issues. We've been struggling to eat. We've been struggling to keep our homes warm. We've been struggling to feed our children. We've been struggling to find, a job that suits us, that we can, look after our children. That's why we rely so heavily on the school system to look after our children, and our school system fails them every single day. We've been suffering from all these issues. Nobody asked us, how are we doing? Nobody asked us, are we doing okay? Are Blacks, Hispanics, Citizens, are we doing okay? Nobody asked us that. But now our oppressors going through, some form of hardship. Listen, if he's spending £4.50 on a bottle of ketchup, I don't believe he going through no kind of hardship for real. I don't, that's just me. So like the ketchup is crazy. $4.50 for ketchup. I don't believe he going through hardship for real. We going through hardship, but no one had pity on us. I'm gonna read on. Or who shall bemoan thee, or who shall go aside to ask how thou doest? Not a single one of these nations has asked, how are black people doing? Are we doing okay? Those black people, they came over here and they built Britain. Are they doing okay? We heard about the Windrush scandal where, they were wrongfully deported back to Jamaica after building this whole society, after their forefathers cut cane and pick cotton day in and day out. We heard about, what's happening to these black people, but did they say anything? Did they ask how we were doing? Did they ask, listen, are black people going through a crisis? Are we going through poverty? No, they just label us as criminals because we're poor. And sometimes when you're poor, sometimes you have to steal to eat. Sometimes you have to steal so you don't be unalived from starvation that day. And so they label us as criminals and thugs and hooligans, and we just can't get it together. Meanwhile, this oppressor, he's, now he hungry. Now it's a crisis. No one went aside to ask how blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians are doing. And that's why we should be so thankful for the ISUPK that we ask our brothers, we check up on our brothers and sisters, we feed those who are hungry. Now, we got food programs in the ISUPK. Listen, if anybody in the United Kingdom, no matter where you are, North, South, Midlands, no matter where you are, if you are suffering and if you are hungry, contact the ISUPK and we will feed our people, because Britain is not feeding you. They will feed every other nation, but their reserves, they don't have enough reserves for you. We will feed you. And we won't, we ain't looking at you no type of way while we feeding you. We ain't looking down on you. We ain't telling you you just need to get it together. We understand your struggle because we struggle the same way, just like you. We are Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian just like you, and we go through the same thing. So, we ain't looking down at you or looking any type of way like this oppressor will. Like, good night. If you need assistance, if you need food, if you need clothing, if you need anything, contact the ISUPK and we will find a way to get it to you. Because no other nation went aside to ask how you were doing. No other nation cares for the struggle and the plight of Blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians. We will care for our people. We will feed our people. The British government, they spending millions on they putting millions towards the war. They putting millions towards the war in Ukraine, the war in Israel, this, that, and the third. They haven't put a penny towards helping Blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians. No sweat. The ISUPK, we will pool what money we have together and we will feed the flock. We will feed our people. We will clothe our people. We did a clothing drive. We did a massive clothing drive in was it New York, in Buffalo, feeding and clothing the immigrants up there. We will be the solution, because our oppressor will do nothing. All right, now I'm gonna get let me get another scripture. Let me see where we at with it. I'm gonna get James chapter 2. All right, I'm gonna get the book of James chapter 2 and I'm gonna read from verse 14. Yeah, 14. All right, James 2 and verse 14. What doth it profit, brethren? It's like, what do it profit, my brethren, though a man say he hath faith and have not works? Can faith save him? And listen, this right here, this is your Christian pastor. This is your Christian pastor. Your Christian pastor says he has faith. He says he loves God. He says, he a faithful servant. But he don't have works. He don't have works. He doesn't keep the law, statutes, and commandments. That's how you show you love the Most High. That's how you show you love your people. When you become the example of how to serve your Father so that other people look at you and know that they also can change their life. That's how you show you love black people. That's how you show you love the Most High. But your Christian pastor says he has faith, but he don't have no works, man. He don't feed blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians. He'll take your tithe money, but that money don't go back to you. He don't feed you when you're hungry. He don't clothe you when you have no clothes. He doesn't look after your family. You know what I'm saying? Our grandparents been going church for so long. Your grandparent falls sick. That pastor in that Christian church, he don't visit your grandparent. He just noticed, okay, the tithe money, the collection plate a little light today. Someone must be, not turning up. All right, no sweat. You don't consider or wonder, how's this person doing? How's that person doing? He don't clothe you. He don't feed you. He don't give you the counsel you need. He don't give you he don't give you anything you need. He says he has faith. He says blood of Jesus. He claps and dances and puts on a good old show. But, he have not works. Verse 15, if a brother or sister be naked and destitute of daily food, this is our brothers and sisters. We are struggling. And I know you're struggling. I know we're struggling because I was struggling. So we all grew up poor. We all grew up without the things we saw every oppressor and every other nation had. We didn't have it because we don't have the start in life that they have. It says, if a brother or sister be naked and destitute of daily food, and one of you say unto them, depart in peace, be ye warmed and filled. That's what your Christian pastor does. You go to your Christian pastor and say you're hungry. He says, listen, no sweat, go home and pray on it. Pray that the Most High will, bless your pockets and, and give you food to eat. He says, pray on it. I'm gonna read on. Notwithstanding, ye give them not those things which are needful to the body. He says, listen, pray that the Most High feed you, but he doesn't feed you. He said, pray that the Most High, give you a good job so you can afford to buy clothes. He doesn't clothe you. He doesn't give you the things that are needful to the body. That man is not a man of God. When you go to the priest and prophet, when you go to someone who, says he's a priest and prophet of the Most High, and you say, you're hungry or you need clothing, a real servant of the Most High doesn't just say, pray to the Most High or ask him to clothe you, ask him to feed you. That priest and prophet should be a representation of the Most High. When you go to him, that's you seeking of the Lord. You seek of the Lord when you go to the ISUPK and ask these brothers for help. That's you asking the Lord. That's you praying to the Lord. When you go to the men of the Lord, when you go to the men who are his mouthpiece, who are his hands and feet, who do the work on this earth, who do the work of their Father. The Most High, the Most High is in the Bible to feed the flock of the slaughter. We feed the flock of the slaughter. That's the Most High feeding his sheep, feeding his people. We don't just say prayer. We ain't prayer warriors. We're actual soldiers that will get boots on the ground and feed blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians. We will clothe blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians. But this Christian pastor, he says, depart in peace, He says, just go home and pray on it and be in peace. Be warm and be filled. I pray the Most High, gives you food to eat. But he don't give you food himself. He'll still take that tithe money, though. He'll definitely take that tithe money and he'll go home and he'll buy a nice big roast pork to eat. The damn pork eating pastor, Salakia. That's what he will do. He will not feed you. He will not clothe you. The Bible says, what doth it profit? What's the point? What's the point in saying, go home and pray on it? What's the point in saying, I pray the Lord feeds you, if you ain't willing, and you're saying you do the work of the Lord, but you ain't willing to feed them? Their prayer to the Most High is for you to feed them. That's what they're praying. They're praying for you to give them food, for you to give them clothes. Listen, in that Christian church, your prayer falls on deaf ears. In the ISUPK, we hear the prayers, we hear the cries and the supplication of our brothers and sisters. we will feed you. We will clothe you. We will give you the spiritual food that you need. We will give you the wisdom you need in order to fix your life. We will give you the counsel you need to, get your family better, to help with any stress, any anxiety you got going on, anything you need. We will give you these things because we are soldiers of the Most High. We are his hands and his feet. We are members of the body of Christ. All right, I'm going to read on. Even so, meaning in the same way, faith, if it have not works, is dead, being alone. That Christian pastor who says he got, so much faith, listen, that's just, it's dead. It's dead. There's no value in it. There's no life in it because he does not do the things that you actually need. All right, now I'm going to share another video. We're going to get into the schooling. Many of our children be going hungry because we can't afford to feed them. We're going to get into that whole thing right now.
A joint investigation.
Make sure the thing's sharing them on the stream. All right, there we go. Got it up.
A joint investigation by the Evening Standard and the Independent has revealed an escalating hunger crisis among children in poverty who are not eligible for free school meals. As many as 800,000 children in England fit into this category. Head teachers and youth workers report that it's leading to desperate behaviour, with pupils stealing food to eat as the cost of living crisis bites.
So now it's affecting them to the point where when they say, stealing to eat, they ain't talking about us. When we steal to eat, it's just called stealing. When we steal in order to survive, it's just called stealing. It's just called robbing, and we get thrown in prison. When they steal to eat, it's called stealing to eat, and they have some compassion and some mercy, and they understand that they have no other choice, no other alternative but to steal, because otherwise they will, their stomach will touch their back. When we do it, it's just it's just stealing. We're just no good. We can't get it together. We just, all we do is commit crime. I'm gonna play on.
Worker Jack Price, who works in 3 South London schools, describes what he sees on a daily basis.
I don't think people realise that a lot of these young people will actually just go hungry. A lot of these young people will just stay silent because they understand the hardships of their parents or their family or their guardians. They know that times are tough. And they're not trying to put the burden on their parents and saying, well, Mum, I ain't really got breakfast. I haven't eaten at break or lunch. Playground.
And that's heavy. That's how our children are. Because we, our whole life is hardship. So we ain't, we don't really kick up a fuss. We just figure out a way how to survive. That's what Blacks, Hispanics, and Indians have been doing since we've set foot in Britain, since we, in America, all we do is just figure out how to survive to the next day. A lot of us, from what I remember as a child, I used to be hungry, but I didn't used to want to ask my parents for nothing because I could see that, they struggling. They struggling. So I didn't want to be an extra burden on my parents. I saw the struggle they went through. I saw that, we just didn't have enough. So I just figured it out. I figured out a way to survive. You know what I'm saying? But, and that's what he's saying. Like so many children, they'll just go hungry. We'll just go hungry because we don't, we don't want to be a burden on our parents. We know we've been oppressed for over 400 years. We know what we're going through. So we'll just figure it out. All right, I'm going to play on.
Is meant to be a place where kids are having fun. And now that fun, you can see, is washed down with kids who are hungry. You're seeing kids share food. Kids are robbing. Kids are stealing from supermarkets because they're hungry. No kid wants to do the bad thing. No kid wants to steal, but they're taking food because they're hungry. The amount of people who are going through these struggles is growing.
Food charities say the number of school food banks they supply in London has doubled in 3 years. Every Wednesday at St Mary's Primary School in Battersea, parents queue for the food bank. What's surprising is that most have jobs. They don't earn enough to pull out of poverty, but they get more than £7,400 a year, and it means, crucially, their children are no longer eligible for free school meals.
Free school meals are.
They say, because they earn over 7,400, they're no longer eligible for school meals, for free school meals. Meaning, in order to get, they'll say, we'll mention that our children are hungry in these schools. And, UK will say, well, there's a free school meal program as long as you don't earn over a certain amount, which, should it not be that if you earn over this amount, then your children shouldn't really need school meals. The amount is 7,400 a year. That's what, about 600, I think I did the math earlier, about £617 a month. You telling me if I earn more than £617 a month, my children don't get free school meals? Meaning if I make £620 in a month, which is barely enough to cover the rent, my children can't get fed in these schools because I make over this amount. Like, good night. Listen, the UK is a damn. The UK government is a joke. I'm gonna play on.
Not enough anymore. The way it works, the way the credit works on your free school meals, you're only able to buy one school meal. So let's say snack items or bottle of waters, that takes away from the credit for the one school meal. A young person needs food to just operate, let alone to be doing well in school. And the way that these topics work hand in hand with each other, you see that young people who aren't eating healthy meals or they're not eating enough food at all, they will do badly in school. It all starts at school, because if they can't do well in school, how would they be able to apply themselves in real life? How would they be able to get a good education?
At Mandeville
And they wondering why black people are doing so bad in school. We just lashing out because we just aggressive and rebellious. Meanwhile, whole time we're just hungry. Whole time we can't focus on anything you telling us. We don't have any food in our stomach. We've been going through a hunger crisis, since we were born. But now you see another nation. Now you have some compassion. Like, and the sister here, Sister Nakat, says, I never understood paying for food at school when it's the same as jail food. That's a fact. First of all, you paying for food you don't even like. The food in school is terrible. You paying for food you don't even, the least they could do, feeding us that damn gruel, is, it'd be free. But you're going somewhere where you're forced to go, and now you have to pay to eat food that you don't like because it has no seasoning, because, these oppressors can't season food for nothing. Like, good night. The least they could do is they force you to go to school. We have to go to school. It's mandatory. They could at least make the food free. They forcing you to learn. They could at least feed you while you're learning. I'm a player.
Primary in Hackney, they provide free school meals to every child. The government only funds 62% of these pupils, but the schools say the remaining 38% also live in households on universal credit. Many would go hungry if not for Mandeville's policy. It costs them 15.
And so this school specifically, is doing something to feed these children. They're going out of their own pocket because, again, the UK government is an absolute joke and does not care about your children. Especially doesn't care about Black, Hispanic, Native Indian children, but they barely care about their own children. So this school specifically, they having free school meals throughout the whole, throughout you in that entire school, you get free school meals, and they're coming out of their own pocket, which they shouldn't have to do. The UK has so much money. They're sitting on billions and billions. King Charles is sitting on billions, but he won't give up a penny so that you can eat. Let's see right here. This is in the concept. Like I said, I remember in 4th grade when my teacher didn't let me eat breakfast because we had a test, and it was a charter school. Yeah, good night. Good night. Oh, God forbid you need some food so you can actually concentrate on the test. No, you gotta take this test. Don't eat. Just take the test. It's like they acting like they're so concerned about your education. No, if they cared about your education, they would allow you to eat so you could actually focus on the test. So you would not be going through the test with your stomach rumbling and, you know, just your whole mind is on food. You don't give a damn about these questions. But yeah, they don't, you know, they just don't give a damn. It's like you. They don't.
£1,000 a year, but is not supported by government funding.
Education is free. The food that they eat when they get being educated should be free. There shouldn't be a barrier to learning that's linked to how affluent their families are or not. What would normally happen is at a certain point in a child's primary school career, they'll get to a point when those free school meals will end, and families then have to try and work out where they're going to get the money from. So I had one parent come to me this week, and she was really worried because she hadn't realised that we provide free school meals for children throughout school. So she was worried about where she was going to find that money from to provide her child with school dinners. So once I explained to her that free school meals are an entitlement throughout Mandeville, there was a huge relief.
And you know, many parents don't have this relief. Many parents don't have that relief. Okay, you're provided free school meals from, I think it's what, foundation, like in nursery or in kindergarten, I think Americans will call it. They provided free school meals up to a time, but once you hit, you know, regular primary school, you know, you got to pay for them. You got to pay for lunch, or I think it's high school. You got to pay for lunch. And many people, we just don't have the money for it. You're paying. You know, I remember back in my day, I had to choose between, okay, did I want to eat, you know, did I want to, you know, I want to spend all my money on pizza for one day, or I used to get like flapjacks. Flapjacks was my whole, you know, lunch. I didn't get anything for break. I just had a lunch. I had a flapjack. Because, you know, a flapjack will hold you a little while. It's you know, it's oats, so, you know, it'll fill you up a little bit, sustain you with some energy you need. That was my whole lunch, just a flapjack. You know, I don't know, you know, I get it. I don't think Americans are familiar with flapjacks, but it's like an oat bar. I'm saying that. That was my lunch. That was it. You know. But this school, I commend what this school is doing, where they actually feeding children because the school doesn't give a damn. You know, the government doesn't care. The government provides, you know, money for the school to give you education, but they don't provide the school for money, you know, money to give you something as basic as food. You know, so like the sister said, even now in elementary school where I'm from, you have to pay if you don't get free reduced meals. Yeah, it's the same thing over here in the UK. It's the same thing.
I mean, it's hard to accept that free school meals aren't available to every child in the country. I can't understand why we haven't, as a society, been able to find a way to ensure that public funding goes to every child to ensure that they have a free school meal throughout. It is challenging. There are considerations that the school has to make in terms of the school budget, and it's not easy. And I suppose if it was easy, every school would do it, because I'm pretty sure that every school wants this for their children. A basic need for every human is a good, healthy meal. And the fact that we don't, as a country, make sure that that is the right for every child when they're going into school and isn't something that's linked to how much money your parents make is a travesty for me. It's wrong.
The government provides 1.9 million children in England with free school meals, including all pupils from reception to year 2. But
you get free school meals from reception, being basically nursery, up until year 2, which I think year 2 you're like what? Let me see, about eight thereabouts. That's where you get free school meals up into.
800,000 children live in households in universal credit that do not qualify. A YouGov poll shows 72% of the public think this unfair. They say free school meals should be extended to all children in poverty. If you agree, write to your local MP.
Listen, man, black people have just been going through this, you know. We've been going through this since forever, but, you know, now it's an issue. It's an issue because other nations are complaining. When we complain, it falls on deaf ears. But when they complain, you know, they hear their cries. They hear their cries, but no sweat, no sweat. The ISUPK, or the Commanding GEN.YAHANNA, has the solution for the hunger crisis for Blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians. All right, we will feed you and we will clothe you. I'm gonna get this scripture in Matthew's. Let me get it. Matthew's chapter 25 and verse 35. All right, this is why we do what we do. All right, let me get this real fast. Book of Matthew, chapter 25 and verse 35. And this is Christ speaking. For I was an hungered, and ye gave me meat, meaning ye gave me food. I was thirsty, and ye gave me drink. I was a stranger, and ye took me in. Naked, and ye clothed me. I was sick, and ye visited me. I was in prison, and ye came unto me. Then shall the righteous answer him, saying, Lord, when saw we thee and hungered and fed thee, or thirsty and gave thee drink? When saw we thee a stranger and took thee in, or naked and clothed thee? Or when saw we thee sick or in prison and came unto thee? And the king, which is the Yahushua, shall answer and say unto them, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as ye have done it unto one of the least of these my brethren, ye have done it unto me. Meaning when we feed, when we clothe, when we give water, when we visit the sick, when we have these prison programs, you know what I'm saying? We go into these prisons for our brothers and sisters. We do this unto Christ. When we feed you, we're feeding Christ. So we don't feel no type of way about, you know, our oppressor sees you as a burden. We see you as a brother. We see you as a sister. We see you as a, you know, as we see our King Yahushua, and we would do anything for Blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians. We would do anything to make sure that you eat, to make sure that you don't, you know, die of thirst, to make sure that you have clothes, to make sure that you know, to make sure that what's the other one? That when you're sick, you know, somebody checks up on you. To make sure, you know, we have these prison programs to try and get our brothers up out of that prison, because we know they fell into the trap that this oppressor set and ended up incarcerated. We know that, you know what I'm saying, that's not the life that you want to live. And we'll get in them prisons and we will clean you up and we'll bring you out a strong soldier of the Most High. We'll bring you out, you know what I'm saying, a beautiful sister, a princess in the school in the ISUPK. Because when we do so unto you, we do so unto Christ. All right. And with that, that is the show. You know what I'm saying? Most High in Christ. Let's clap it up, clap it up, clap it up. All right. The water for y'all for tuning in. The water for all my brothers and sisters. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate y'all tuning in every week. I appreciate it. All right. With that, make sure y'all tune into the law class. So it's the Monday law class taught by, I believe, Officer Aria Allah. You know what I'm saying? Make sure y'all check that out on the ISUPK United Kingdom YouTube and Facebook. Also, I do this show, so Real-Time Revelations, every Monday, every Thursday from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. All right, so make sure y'all tune in Thursday, and we'll you know what I'm saying, we'll get it on with the next topic. All right, with that, Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barak Thumb to all the brothers, and Yahweh Shema Allah Thumb Hashem Yahushua to all the sisters. All right, shalom.
Let's get it. I just float with it. Fuck what you did, I'm at your throat with it. You can learn something, take a note with it. Dedicated my life, I took an oath with it. For the blood of my brothers, we don't do no switching. I run with who I run with, ain't no clicking. Try me, do you done with no decision. Lead a scene like a Mack truck with 4 collisions. Poles everywhere, but they ain't gon' vote dissing. Coming at you live and direct, I don't do no dissing.